someone says body horror, we all get those instant images in our head that we can't unsee from those different movies that we have watched throughout the years that are stuck in our head. They're just permanently ingrained in our heads. You all know what movies they are. They range from just utterly disgusting to just fun. And that's what makes this genre so unique. Because it's not the destruction of the human body that makes this genre stand out on its own. It's the transformation of the human body into something gross. Whether it's through disease, viruses, parasites, that you often see in this genre, because it offers a grotesque mirror on mutilations and surgical nightmares gone wrong, and our own physical decay. These films actually remind us of just how fragile our bodies are. And like I said a second ago, sometimes it's just fun to watch. Yeah, I know I said that. I'm sorry, Mom. I know you're watching this and you're going, what? How can any of these be fun? They are, trust me. And I'm a pretty good guy, I think. If you like what you see, leave that like, comment below, and subscribe and follow along. It doesn't take much. It takes 3 clicks. Help me out here. Let's go. Let's get into this. I'm so excited about this. All right, let's start off with an easy one. Let's ease our way through this list here. Coming in at number 10 on the list is the 2000 Canadian movie Ginger Snaps. Yeah, that's on the list. It's a good one. How can you deny it? It basically follows 2 teenage girls, that are the epitome of goth girls in high school, ages 15 and 16. We all knew a couple of girls or kids in school that kind of kept to themselves, were kind of just, the rejects of the groups. And, they're just, these 2 sisters, they're just bored with their life. They just have this morbid curiosity with death. Even from a young age, they film these death scenes that they make videos of and pictures of themselves. And from an early age, they make this pact that, by the time they turn 16, that they would, commit suicide. And, so they make the pact that, they'll go out in a glorious blaze of glory, versus just living the life of just boredom. Again, we knew kids like that growing up when we were in high school. What makes it really good is that there's a lot of dark humor in this one, because it's something that we can all relate to at that time when we were in high school. But what makes this movie really good is that it follows these 2 sisters who they're very, very tight. And one night when they are walking through the park, Ginger gets attacked by a dog. And after surviving the attack, she slowly starts to transform. And their relationship is tested because of what happened. It's a really good movie because of just one, like I said a second ago, the bond that these 2 sisters have. But a lot of, when it comes to the body transformation, it's really great because it starts off really slow. All her scars and scratches, they instantly heal, but you got this hair coming out, and Ginger slowly starts to grow a tail, and she starts to get the fangs. So it's this slow progressive transformation before she fully becomes this werewolf. And so it's a very great movie. If you've never seen the movie, it's a good one. It's a sleeper one that a lot of people may not even think about or even heard of. So if you've never seen it, take a chance and watch this one. I promise you won't be disappointed in this one. So coming in at number 10 is Ginger Snaps. Coming in at number 9 on the list is the 2008 movie, The Ruins. I like this movie. It's a good one. It follows 6 vacationers that are in Mexico, and on their very last day, full day, they decide that they want to do something fun and adventurous instead of just drink and party all the time, because that's what young people do when they go to Mexico. They decide they want to do something adventurous so they can remember. And so they decide, let's go visit this ancient Mayan temple. And of course, they get the map and they follow the map, but the map takes them off trail. How many of us have been told, don't go off trail? But they do, of course, because this temple is not on the map. It's just on this little pencil that they wrote in there. Anyways, they get to the temple and it looks freaking awesome, covered in vines. And that's when it goes to hell in a handbasket relatively quickly. As soon as they arrive on the temple, the locals surround them and they won't let them leave the grounds. And of course, from the beginning, these people don't know why the locals won't let them leave until they get to the top of the temple and they start looking around and they start to realize that there's more to these vines than meets the eye. It all starts the moment one of these guys gets hurt, and gets hurt pretty badly. And the vines are become like in the very early stages, become like the jaws of the movie, as it's a carnivorous plant. No, it's not like Little Shop of Horrors. Okay, this one's a little bit more serious. Anyways, like I was saying, as this vine is carnivorous and it wants human blood, I guess, and starts, infecting these people by burrowing under their skin. It's a great movie. It's one of those ones that immediately gives you the itchies when you see certain scenes, like the one girl who gets infected and they show a close-up of her forehead and they see something squirm under her forehead skin. You're just like, that's what makes this movie really good, because it gets under your skin. The only thing with this, only advice, if you're going to go to Mexico and you're going to go to a Mayan temple, the only advice I'm going to give you is don't be like one of those vacationers in this movie and go in flip-flops. At least wear hiking boots to give yourself a chance, okay? Anyways, coming at number 9 on the list is The Ruins. Coming in at number 8 on the list is the 2002 Cabin Fever. This is a bloody good movie. Let's see what I did there? See, yeah, never mind. Follows a group of people that are going into the woods. What is it with people going into the woods? Haven't you all learned by now? Don't go into the woods. Nothing good happens when you go in the woods. Anyways, basically it follows a group of young adults that go to the woods for the weekend for a party, good time, and you know how it goes. There's a killer in the woods. But the killer in this one is something they can't see, and that's what makes this one really, really good. As the premise of the movie is, there's the very, very beginning of the movie, there's this body that is decaying in the water supply of this town. And when these young people get to the cabin, they drink the water, and the water's got this nasty infection in there, and slowly they all start falling apart. Literally falling apart. See what I did there? This is a good one because it's just one of those body decaying movies that it just, the different way these people start, becoming infected with this disease. And it has a little reference of, like The Hills Have Eyes type of feel to it at the opening when they meet some of the locals there. And but it's a really good movie. I really like they've made it they've remade this, a couple of times, but the original in the 2002, it's a good one. So if you've never seen Cabin Fever, the 2002 one, go see it. So coming in at number 8, the 2002 classic, Cabin Fever. Coming in at number 7 on the list is the 1979 classic David Cronenberg film, The Brood. This one was a really, really awesome movie because it's hard to explain without giving the whole thing away, because then it just sounds so outlandish. But that's what makes the body horror genre so cool, because it's so outlandish. And this one is right there. That's why it's on this list. Basically, this movie follows a couple, a man and a wife. Well, his estranged wife, because they're, I guess, in the middle of a divorce. But she is locked up in a psychiatric hospital, undergoing some controversial therapy. Well, while this whole thing is going on, the backdrop of this movie is there's a bunch of murders taking place that no one can figure out why they're taking place or what's going on. And so that's kind of like the backdrop of this movie. And it's hard to not give anything away about The Brood, but it basically is a bunch of kids that are, that they can kill people. But don't think, oh man, that's going to be lame. It's actually really good. It's a slow burn. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's a very slow burn. It takes It takes a while to get going, but like any good classic movie that you run into, you know, the last 30, 45 minutes, it all pays off as it all comes together in one finale that's just, you're when the movie's over, you're kind of like, holy cow. So, you know, this one's on this list. I bet a lot of you haven't even seen this movie. If you haven't, go check it out. And you'll know what I mean when you get through the movie. You'll be like, that was freaking weird. So coming in at number 7 on the list is The Brood. Coming in at number 6 on the list is a sleeper one. It's a very good movie. I don't see it on a lot of people's lists or channels, and I don't know why, because it's a really good one. It embodies body horror. You see what I did there? Little pun. Never mind. Anyways, it's the 2013 movie Contracted. This is a good one. I really enjoy this one because the first opening minutes of the movie, it sucks you in and you're not gonna be able to get out no matter what you try. Basically, the movie opens up and you see a body lying on a table, and you see a toe tag that the toe tag's got like biohazard material waste attached to the toe and whatever. But when the camera starts to really pan around, you start to realize that the coroner is having relations with said body. And so, yeah, immediately you're like, all right, this is gonna be insane. You fast forward to a party that a young woman is attending because she just got over a relationship. So she's over there with friends to try to feel better and whatnot. Well, this young woman meets said coroner, and he, you know, has relations with her. And it's not going to be good from that point on. You can already tell. The next day, she wakes up with this nasty hangover, and she thinks it's a hangover. And this is where you really start to see the deterioration of body. Really, really slow. It's really well done. You know, let's just keep it simple. Starts off with you think is a headache, and then she has trouble eating and hearing, and she becomes very sensitive to light. And again, like I said, noise. She discovers a rash, and her eyes become bloodshot, clumps of hair start falling out, fingernails, teeth, everything under the sun. It's insane. It's a good one. I saw this one not too long ago, and, you know, because I'd always wanted to see it because I kept seeing the movie poster for it, and I said, man, I need to watch this thing. And I'm glad I did. You know, it'll make you think twice before you go to these parties. You don't pay attention to what you're drinking. So, you know, hey, it's a good little movie. Anyways, coming in at number 6 is Contracted. We're into the top 5. As you know as well as I do, it gets very tight up at the very top. Coming in at number 5 on the list is the 1987 Clive Barker classic, Hellraiser. What else do I got to say about this one? I think we've all seen this movie. If not, then you must not be a horror fan, or you just never had the desire to see it. But you need to. You need to go pay respect, pay homage to the classics. And Hellraiser is one of those classics. What's it about? I'll keep it simple for you. Opening scene is Frank. Frank's kind of a deviant, he's kind of out there kind of guy. He's playing with this puzzle box that you shouldn't play with, especially if you don't know what it does, because you bought it from some third world country person that says, you know, hey, this will open up your deepest, darkest desires and pleasures and blah, blah, blah. So immediately, and yeah, you shouldn't be playing with those boxes, but Frank does. And immediately he summons the Cenobites. You know them, you know these characters. They're very well portrayed throughout Halloween season. They're icons in the horror genre, and the Cenobites basically tear his body apart, and that's the way the movie begins. Basically, Frank is able to escape the Cenobites' clutches, but he can't join the real world again until he's able to get sacrifices and you know, take the body of all these other victims to rebuild himself. That's Hellraiser in a nutshell. It's a very good one. It's a classic. The practical effects in this one, and the way how in the late 80s, you know, body horror, and just there was no CGI. It was just you had to use what you had on hand, and it really awesome to watch, just because, again, the practical effects on how gruesome they made everything. If you've never seen Hellraiser, you need to. I don't know who or what would prevent you from seeing this one, other than you've never been shown this one. If you haven't, then man, go blame your parents, I guess, for that one. But coming in at number 5, Hellraiser. Coming in at number 4 on the list is the 2009 great movie, Human Centipede. I know. This movie is, lack of a better word, gross. There's no other way to put it. Either you've seen it or you haven't seen it because you don't want to see it because you've seen a poster or you've heard about it and you can't bring yourself to watch it. But it's on the list because body horror and this, they go hand in hand. You can't have it without the other, without mentioning this one. It's one of those movies I said at the beginning that once you mention body horror, this is one of those movies that pops in your head. The visual in this one, it's hard to it's hard to forget. Movie opens up with 2 girls on a vacation in another country, and they decide they want to go to a party. Again, don't go to these parties. What good happens when you go to these parties in another country? Well, they're out to try to find said party, and they blow a tire in the woods. What have we said about woods? Don't go in the woods. Don't get out because you have a flat tire, it's raining, and there's no cell service. The combination never works out well. So they got to leave, find a house. Of course, the lights are on. It's so inviting. And of course, they meet the doctor. This guy is totally insane. He wants to do something crazy. Basically, he takes the 2 girls and this other victim that he already had in the house, and he wants to create a human centipede by attaching mouth to anus to create one big digestive system. And that's all I really need to say on that one, because just the rest of this movie is pretty visual and it's pretty gross and it's out there. But it's on the list. It has to be. I watched these a couple months ago. I watched the first one, of course. Then I watched the second one. It wasn't as insane as the first one. It was just more crazier. And the third one was just complete, nonsense. It wasn't any good. So yeah, stick with the first one. So if you haven't seen Human Centipede, you need to watch it. So coming in at number 4 is Human Centipede. Coming in at number 3 on the list is another David Cronenberg classic, the 1986 movie, The Fly. You've all seen this one. You can't tell me you haven't seen this one. Jeff Goldblum, he was like made for this movie. It's so crazy. Because of just who he is and how he's acted in all the other movies. But when you rewind to when he did this one, it's like, yeah, he was made for this one. If you've never seen this one, let me give you a little snapshot of what's all about. He's a scientist that, he's trying to break through, as all scientists do. And he has this pod that he's trying to take atoms apart and put the atoms back together. But none of his experiments work. So he decides he's got to go all in and decides to do it on himself. Well, when he goes to win the pod, he closes it, but not before a fly gets in. So when the pod puts him back together, his genes and chromosomes are merged with that of the said fly. So thus the name The Fly. What's there to say about this movie other than it's a good slow burn movie that when he starts to transform, it has all the really good parts where his skin starts to human fly hair, that doesn't make no sense. Fly hair starts to grow out of his body, so it's like, and then you add the fingernails falling off, and the skin starting to boil, and he starts to change, and yeah, it's a good one. You can't have a list like this without including The Fly in this one. Geena Davis in this one, so it's a very rare list to have 2 really good actors on the same a horror movie. They do come out once in a while, but these 2 are really good. They have really good chemistry, and the movie itself is just really awesome. You'll never look at another fly again, especially when you look at, you've read about how flies throw up on their food before they eat it, whatever. Yeah, you'll look at flies even with a little bit more heebie-jeebiness. So coming at number 3, The Fly. Coming in at number 2 on the list is an awesome movie that I bet a lot of you haven't seen. Some of you probably have. 1999, a Japanese horror film, Audition. This one, yes, this is up there. It is number 2 on the list, as it should be. If you've never seen this movie, allow me to give you a synopsis of what it's about, because it doesn't even like end the way it sounds, which makes this really awesome. Basically, the movie starts off with a couple whose wife is in the hospital and she passes away. And so the husband makes it his life endeavor to raise their child. And he does so. He just focuses on his kid. But once his kid gets to teenage years, he says, "Hey, Dad, you should start dating again." And his dad said, "That's a good idea. Maybe I should." So that gentleman, his name is Oyama, goes to his buddy who they own a movie company. And his buddy said, "Well, let's hold auditions to see if we can't find you a suitable partner." So yeah, they get like 1,000 applicants or something like that. So Oyama looks through all the lists, people, and finds this one that he's really attracted to. Her name is Asami. Well, Asami isn't who she appears to be, and that's, when he starts to really get to know her, that's when it goes insane. This movie is a very slow burn. It starts off, you almost feel like it's a romantic type movie, drama, because of the way the movie is laid out. It's a very slow burn. It really draws you in with the imagery and the way all the subliminal stuff that's happening in the background. You don't even realize what's happening until the last, again, 30, 45 minutes. There's this massive payoff with Asami isn't who she is at all, because she's got this really twisted background that comes to the forefront, that it's all revealed at the very end. And I don't want to spoil it, but you'll know why this one is number 2 on the body horror list, because it is awesome. It stays with you well after you've seen the movie. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, make it a point to watch this one. That's why it's number 2 on the list, Audition. Coming in at number 1 on the list is the GOAT of the body horror genre. You know what I'm talking about. It's on everyone's list as number 1. It is the 1982 John Carpenter classic, The Thing. It's on everyone's list. It has to be. Why? Practical effects is what really made this movie what it is today. It literally stands above everything that's even made to this day. Some of you are probably saying, what's it about? Well, basically it's following this team that's in Antarctica, that's a research team, that they encounter a shape-shifting alien that basically takes the shape of anything it touches. That's why it's called The Thing. Starts off with a dog before it makes its way to a human, and then the people have got to figure out who is a real person and who is the thing. That's why it's basically called The Thing. Anyways, so that's what the whole premise of the movie is, and it's over the top with the body horror as far as all these people twisting and being deformed, whether it's an animal or people. It's great. It never gets old. I had a chance to go see this movie in theaters, I think it was 2 years ago, because I'd never seen it on the big screen. And sure enough, it still is phenomenal on the big screen. I even watched it maybe a couple weeks ago. I put it on again, and it still got me. Even though I've seen the movie enough times, I still jumped at the blood testing scene. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I knew it was coming up, and I still jumped and I still laughed, because that's just how good this movie is. If you've never seen this movie, as soon as you're done with this channel for the day, go find it and watch it, and you will thank me for it. So coming in at number 1, The Thing. Well, there it is. There's my top 10 body horror movies that you need to go watch. What'd you think? How on base was I, or was I off base? Surely I know I left a couple off that as you guys watch these, you're going to say, oh, how did you forget this one? How did you forget this one? Believe me, this was a hard list to put together. I had to look at all kinds of different variables with this thing to keep this thing as body horror specific as I could. So let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to the like button. Subscribe to this thing so that way you can get more content just like this on my way to ranking the top movies in each genre. Until next time, go watch one of these top 10.